It's visible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
So guys,
visible.
yeah, thank you. So before starting the session, like I assume that you guys are from BCA or MCA or something of this type of courses. You can confirm me once.
Yes, we
MCA.
are from MCA.
Divyansh, you're from MCA. Tushar, how about you?
Yes, ma'am. We all three are from MCA, ma'am.
And which university you guys are being you're from?
The North
The
Capital.
North Cap University,
Where it is? It is in.
Gurgaon.
Gurugram.
Okay. Okay, guys.
Yes.
So I assume that you guys are already aware of what HTML and what CSS is, for which this session is being organized, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. So that's why I asked to understand the technical knowledge for all of you. Okay. So let's just start. So, guys, my name is Jim Jim, and I work as a cloud and infrastructure engineer at Infosys right now. I have 5+ years of experience in IT industry as of now. Previously, I have been working with Larsen and Turbo Infotech, and Infosys is my current company. So, therein I am working mostly as a cloud engineer, wherein my client is Google, and mostly I handle Google Cloud related stuff. So, I have experience. I have hands-on experience on working with Google Cloud, AWS, and then Azure. So for Learnovate, I work as a freelancer and then I take some web development sessions for them. So today, I believe you guys are aware about the tasks which you'll be getting based on the sessions which are being held, and then you have to perform that and then submit that to your respective mentors. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll just present my screen. So based like in the very beginning, I asked you the details for your course because because if you guys were from MBA or from some other management courses, then I would have conducted the session into more detail. But what I'll do is I'll just go into I'll not go into much depth, thinking that you guys have you guys already have this knowledge because I am also a student from MCA, and I know that HTML and CSS is quite basics for an MCA student. Okay, so I'll start the session. So this is our agenda. Okay, so I'll be covering today HTML, domain naming system, CSS versus HTML, then table tags, file uploading, and all those normal basic stuff. Okay, so this is my first slide. So what HTML is? So HTML is the language of the browser, okay? And then it is also known as standard markup language, which is used to create a structure of web pages. This language consists of elements that act as a building block for the creation and structure of your web pages. And then guys, the most important thing, many of you, I believe all of you are freshers, right? Anybody here?
Yes, ma'am.
All
We
three
are
of you are.
freshers.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. So guys, like this is an assumption. Like I have seen many CVs as of now. I see that people write HTML in the programming section of their in their resume. So guys, don't make this mistake. HTML is not a programming language. Maybe what you can do is if you are experts in CSS, or if you are an expert in HTML or JavaScript or PHP. So what you do is you just maintain another section in your CV, and maybe something like web development languages or front end languages, something like this, and then you mention HTML, CSS in that section of your resume. Because if you're writing programming languages and then if you write C++ and then you write HTML and then you write CSS, so at that place only you'll go wrong, and then there are chances of CVs not being selected. Okay, so HTML is not a programming language. So we have www consortium, which creates all these standards for HTML, all the tags and all those regulations which are being passed. So it is mostly being passed by www, and then we have CSS, which is being used to style HTML pages. Okay, and then this is so this is a basic structure of how an HTML code should look like. We always start with doc type is HTML. Using this, our the web browser understand that it's an HTML code, and then we have header section, we have title, we have body, similar to the human body structure which we follow. Like we have an upper section which is the header section, and then in between we have the body section, and then we'll end our program. Okay, so this is how we follow an HTML basic structure code. Okay, so guys, are you guys aware of this domain naming system and how this works? Because I assume that HTML you would be aware of, but I'm not sure if you're aware of domain naming system or not. If not, then I'll go in more depth.
Please explain. We are not that aware of this.
Can you come again? And guys, before speaking, just say your name. I believe it was Divyansh, right?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am,
Yeah,
please
okay.
explain this, ma'am. We are not much aware about DNS.
Yeah, okay. So I'll do that. Actually, I have an expertise. I hold an expertise in configuring domain naming system in cloud as well as on premises environment as well. So I'll give you a brief picture of what domain naming system is. So guys, we all know that in our phone we save numbers, right? So for example, I have a number being saved in my phone. For example, I have saved Tushar's number in my phone as 123456789. Okay, and then the name which I have given to Tushar, to his number 123456789, is Tushar. Okay, so how my phone is understanding that I have to call Tushar. It has a number, right, associated with Tushar, and then if I search for Tushar's name, it will hit his number, and then I'll be able to dial. Okay, so similar to that, DNS acts as a phone book to the internet. Okay, so how in my phone I have a name and then I have a number associated with it, correct? I have Tushar's number saved and then there's a number associated with it. I have Divyansh's number and then with Divyansh, I have a number associated with it in my phone. Okay. So similar to that, DNS works in on over the internet. Okay. So for example, if I just search for this site, which is flipkart.com. Okay, so there is a functionality which is being happening in the backend. If I search Mintra, if I search any other website, so for example, if I search Amazon.com, or if I search any such page over the internet, so how it is getting triggered? So for example, I'm searching Flipkart.com, right? So do you think that my web browser is able to understand with this word Flipkart.com, or there is some other mechanism?
There is other mechanism.
Yeah, yes, correct. So it will not like my browser will not understand, like you all know that when this is normal English language, which is not understandable by computers, right? So we either have to use binaries or we either need to use numbers. Okay, so how my internet understands that whenever Flipkart.com I'm hitting, I have to open this page itself and not Mintra's page. Okay, so I'll tell you this functionality. So similar to that, we have Learnovate e-commerce page as well. Okay, so if I'm typing learnovateecommerce.com, how my web browser is understanding that I have to go to this particular thing. So the terminology and then the technology behind this is nothing but is domain naming system. So in domain naming system, we have two type of domains particularly. First is a forward lookup zone. The second is a reverse lookup zone. Okay, so what I'm doing is, me as a user, just look into this very carefully. So what I'm doing is, me as a user, I'm trying to search for google.com. Okay, and I'm trying to reach over the internet, which is nothing but a DNS server. Okay, and then return, I'm getting this IP address. Okay, so this is a forward lookup zone. Like I'm dialing Tushar's name and then I'm getting his number directly over the screen. So that is nothing but that is a forward lookup zone. In reverse lookup zone, what will happen is, I remember his number. I remember that that his number is 123456789. So what I'll do is, I'll dial his number, and then while calling, I'll get that it belongs to Tushar, that this number belongs to Tushar. So this is how reverse lookup zone occurs. So this I gave as a normal example. Okay, so in over the internet, how it happens is, every particular domain, be it google.com, be it flipkart.com, be it learnovateecommerce.com, be it any such domain, every domain would have an IP address associated with it. So how you'll find out what is the IP address of a particular website or of a particular address? So you have to open command prompt for that. What you have to do is, you have to open command prompt on your laptops. Okay, and then there's a simple command which you have to run is ns lookup, and then I'll type the domain name. Okay, so here in my case, I'll type learnovateecommerce.com. Okay, and then in return, I'm getting a response, right? Where I'm getting the response from? I'm getting a response from DNS. I'm getting a response from Google that yes, you are having a non-authoritative server, and then the domain name is learnovateecommerce.com, and then the IP address is this 76.223.105.230. So this is the IP address of my website, which is learnovatecommerce.com. Okay. So similar to that, you can find out the IP address of flipkart.com as well. You can go here. You can find out ns lookup flipkart.com. So you see, I'm getting an IP address associated with the Flipkart. So over the internet, how my web browser is identifying that whenever I'm hitting flipkart.com, I have to reach out to this address, which is 163.53.76.86. Okay. And guys, so the next question would be, for all of you, you just have to make an assumption. So for example, I told you, right, that I have to go on my command prompt. I have to just type nslookup.com, and then in return, I'll be getting an IP address associated with it, which is in learnovatecommerce.com, which is 76.223.105.230. And then for Flipkart, it was 163.53.76.86. So guys, don't you think that if I know the IP address already of any particular website, isn't it that it is accessible to anyone, and anyone who is knowing the IP address, they can easily hack my website? So how do you think that internet is preventing it from being hacked?
Ma'am, the IP address shown is public IP address, not the private IP address.
Yes, correct. Okay. And then the next part of it would be, so for example, if you'll see here, there is like for every domain, for example Flipkart or any domain you consider over the world, they are accessible with two protocols, whether it is from HTTP, whether you will type here HTTP. See, for example, while accessing this meeting, I'm typing here https meet.google.com. While accessing my website, I'm typing https learnovatecommerce.com. Okay. So what it is showing is, like for example, if I'm accessing anything with HTTPS, it adds an extra layer of security, and then it shows that my website has a certificate, for example SSL certificate being associated with it. Correct. So on which port HTTPS runs, class? What is the port number for HTTPS?
I think it's 85.
No, you're not correct.
80.
That's perfect.
No, Divyansh. For HTTP, the port number is 80. For HTTPS, the port number is 443. Okay, and then class, just make sure before you get ready, you just remember the other protocols port number as well. So for example, HTTP runs on port 80, HTTPS runs on port 443. Then we have DHCP, we have DNS, we have other protocols as well. So make sure that you're remembering that port numbers for these protocols, because it is very important in real life as well. Okay, so this particular website is accessible through HTTPS. Okay, so how do I see? So for example, I have accessed this site. Okay, and then how do I see that what is the certificate details for this website? So you have to click on this, and then here you can see, right, my connection is being secured, right? What you have to do is you have to click here, and then you'll see here that my connection is secure, and then I have a certificate which is valid being associated with my web page. So what I'll see here is, I'll just look into these details. Okay, so I'll click on details. I'll see the serial number, I'll see not before, I'll see the expiry date, certificate authority ID, subject ID, all these details, what the public key which is being displayed to the public. So this is the public key of my certificate. This is the SSH 256 fingerprint, which my website is using. So this is how you will see that how a website functions. Okay, so for any website, any private website, for example, so this is a learnovatecommerce.com page. So you're seeing that we have an extra layer of security being added in this particular website, which is S, and then a certificate is also being attached. Okay, other public websites, so for example flipkart.com, I believe that it should be accessible on HTTP protocol as well, because it's a wide public website. Yeah, so here you'll be able to see that I'll be able to access this flipkart.com either over HTTP or over HTTPS, because it's a public website and they have huge, and then they have large layer of security being added to it. Okay, and then class, so for example, this website was built by me. Okay, so I'll tell you how to identify whether who is the provider, and then the IP address which is being provided here is correct or not. Okay, so what I'll do here is I'll go to, I'm not able to remember the name, what it was. DNS checker, I believe, but I'm not sure. DNS checker. was the tool which I was using? Okay, let's just see this. I'm not able to remember the exact name which we use, but yeah, let's just see here. Okay. Seventy-six 223 105, 76 So for any website, there is a tool. I'm not sure, class. I'll just confirm the page, DNS checker page once again, because there's one more authentic page which I follow, but I'm not able to recall the name right now. But yeah, for any particular website, what you have to do is, so you guys are aware, right? We have DNS has different type of records available with it. Okay, so there is an A record. So what A record does is, so for any domain name, it will have an IPv4 address associated with it. Okay, what does triple A record means? For any domain name, there would be an IPv6 associated with it. Okay, what is an MX record? Then we have NS record, then we have SOA record, state of authority records. So there are different type of records being associated with DNS. Okay, so if you go on any public website, okay, and then if you search learnovate.ecommerce.com, Flipkart, anything, okay, so you'll get an IP address, right? So this IP address, you should validate whether it's matching with the NS lookup record which we were getting or not. So for example, in this case, I got 76.223.105.230. Okay, so here you can see, right, this is the IP address which is matching. Okay, and then I can see that this particular my website is accessible all over the world. Anybody in the world can access it. So all the tick regions. So for example, you can see North America, South America. You can see all over the world. My website is accessible. Okay. 1 second. Okay. So now I remember the name. It is Whois. Okay. Whois. So if you go on Whois, okay, class, what you'll do is, if I search this, for example, learnovate.ecommerce.com, so this is some type of what we do is like first level of troubleshootings which we follow. Okay, so for example, I can see this domain, class, you guys are aware, right, that there is a business which is domain buying business which is available in market right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Correct. So what you'll do is, like, you can see here, right, that this particular domain is not available. It is already being taken by someone. So we have other domains available. Then you can just buy it for $31 and then you can trade it basically if somebody is needing it, and then there's no web page associated. So you can just put up an amount. Okay. So what I was. Okay, this is not the one. Whois, yeah, this is the one. So for example, if I search for my domain here, learnovate.ecommerce.com, okay, so I'll be getting all this details. Okay, so I'll be getting this detail, for example, where my Whois server is. So basically this particular website is hosted on GoDaddy. So I'll get this detail that this particular website is hosted on GoDaddy, and it is correct also. And then I'll be seeing that this particular domain was registered in 2023, and then it is going to expire on this details. Okay, and then you'll be able to see some other details as well, like who is the owner, what is the contact number, whom to contact, and all those details. And then the main important thing was, like, you'll be seeing this name servers. Okay, so this is an important part which I wanted to show you. So for any domain, there would be name servers being located. Okay, so in this case, I have two name servers, and these are my two name servers associated. So any my IP address in my NS lookup, so all this IP address will be sourced from this particular ranges. So for example, 173.201. Okay. No, it will not be sourced. Actually, these are the name servers IP addresses. Okay, and then there would be some other IP address. Yeah, I was talking about this DNS records. So if you see the DNS records, I have this particular DNS record. So anytime from your command prompt, if you're doing learnovate.ecommerce.com and then you're doing an NS lookup, you'll be getting this IP addresses. Okay. So 76.223.105.230, I guess we got this time. Okay, so it's very much common that you'll get some other IP addresses from this 4 as well. Okay, and then we have this CNAME record. We have NS name server record, which I just showed you. So these are the two name server records available for my domain. We have SOA record. Okay, so a task for you is, like, you have to go and research on your own that what are these records meant for. Like for example, you have to search what does CNAME record is for, what is a name server record is for, what is an SOA record meant for. Okay. So class, I like you guys are clear on domain naming system, and then how does it function, because this is what is not covered in your syllabuses, and then you were not aware of. Any other queries
Yes.
you're having for DNS, domain naming system?
No. Go ahead.
Okay, so I have a question for you guys. So for example, someday I realize that my learnovate.ecommerce.com page is not working, or you have your own custom websites. So you just make out that your website is not working. So how do you figure out that a website is working or not? How will you do that? So for how you'll find out, basically my question is very direct. How you'll find out that a web page is working or not working?
Maybe we can check from another browser or something like that.
Yeah, you're very correct. You'll be checking from whois.com, like how I did, and I was getting green ticks, right? That website is accessible. That is okay. That is another check. But what is a technical check which you'll do being a web developer or a cloud engineer? What is the second check you might need to perform?
Through servers.
Which server basically you're talking about?
Actually, we have two servers, like shared web servers and our private web servers, on which we host our website.
Mm-hmm. So basically, I have a public web server here of GoDaddy. So how I will verify? It's not a private server. Like I'm not hosting on any Google Cloud platform, or I'm not hosting on AWS. It's just a public server which is GoDaddy, and I'm hosting my website. You can see here, right? My web server is NS12 domain controller, and then it is a GoDaddy. If you go here, like what are the networking commands we use, guys, in real life? Like just give me an example of networking commands you are aware of. I told you one which was ns lookup. What are the other command which you are aware of?
You get signal.
Hmm?
You get signal. So getting the reverse IP address.
Yes, but how I'll get signals? That is my question. Come on, guys, let's just brainstorm together, and then just give me some options. I'll just eliminate them for you if it is correct or not. One Tushar told, which is very correct. I'll just go on who is public domains, and then I'll search whether my website is accessible or not. What are the other options?
You can check if there is any traffic on the website.
Yeah, correct. You are coming on the right path. How will you determine whether the traffic is coming or not? You're correct. You're very correct that you'll determine the traffic. But which command of networking you'll use to see whether traffic is being initiated or not?
I can't think anything right now.
Tushar, you were a bit dizzy. Can you come again?
I can't think of any solution now.
Okay. So let me tell you. So the command is ping. Okay. So this is a very, very easy and a very useful command, guys. So you'll come to know by running this command whether your web page is working or not. Okay. So I have to ping and then the domain name. Okay. You have to hit enter. Let me just expand my screen, and then return. You are saying, right, that I'm getting a reply from the 762223105230 server. Okay, and then I'm getting 2 TTL time to live 244 5 milliseconds, 6 milliseconds, and then I'm getting responses, right? What you see here, I had sent 4 packets, I received 4 packets, and then there was a 0% loss. Okay, and I'm getting a response from whenever I'm initiating learnovate.ecommerce.com, right? So if in this case you can see my packet loss is 0%, okay? Minimum 5 millisecond, maximum 15 millisecond was the time taken for the ping response, okay? And then the average is 7 milliseconds. So for any website you can check you can run a ping command followed by the domain name, and then you'll be able to see you're getting a reply. Okay, if you do not get any reply from this, then you have to think that your web page is not active, and then you have to work on it to make it active. Okay, so this is how it is. Like I'll run a ping command followed by the domain name, and then I'll get a response whether it's working or not. Okay, so just keep a note here. Okay, and guys, this is also very important. Just give me a minute, class. I'm getting a call. Yes, class. So going ahead, any doubts you're having on domain naming system?
No.
Yeah. Okay.
No.
So what I'll do next is, 1 second. I'll just share some document with you. Guys, I'm sharing this document with you. Okay. This is a very important document. Basically, like my work is mostly related to, like my client is Google. Okay, I work in Infosys, but my client is Google. So basically, in day-to-day life, we get issues from different clients or from different users. Okay, so we figure out by seeing the public docs. Okay, so this is, I have shared one Google Cloud document with you. So just make sure that you're seeing, like we all know, right, how you can host on GoDaddy. Okay, so if you host your domain, if you need to host your domain on Google Cloud, and then you have to get associated with it, how do you create a domain over the cloud? So I've shared one document. Just make sure that you're just having a quick glance of it. Okay, you'll see that we have DNSSEC, and then we have ICNA, who is privacy. So you just make sure that you have a read there. It's actually very informational if you just go through. Okay, just let me know if you have any doubts in this document. Okay, I'll be able to explain it. Okay, and then share your note. Yeah, just make sure that you're seeing this document as well. It is actually very informational for Google Cloud related stuff. Okay, so moving ahead with our topic. So we have domain, to sum up what domain naming system is. We have forward lookup zone, and then we have reverse lookup zone. So forward lookup zone is basically you're asking the internet the address of a particular name. Okay, reverse lookup zone is nothing but you're giving an IP address, and then the DNS server in return is returning you a domain name. Okay, so what is this called, class? Like for example, if I'm using learnovitecommerce.com, www.learnovitecommerce.com, what is the technical terminology for this?
Can you repeat my question?
Yeah, the question is, like, for example, if you see here, right, what I'll do is I'll open Flipkart, okay, for better understanding. Okay, so I am searching this Flipkart, www.flipkart.com. So the other name is domain name. So this is nothing but a domain name, right? So what is the another technical name for this in technical terms?
It's
Can you come again, Tushar?
address. We can say it
Yeah, address
address.
is correct. So this is nothing but an FQDN, okay? FQDN, okay? Fully qualified domain name. I pasted in chat, fully qualified domain name. So in technical terms, we call it an FQDN. So every FQDN is associated with an IP address. To check the IP address, you have to run the NSLOOKUP command followed by the FQDN, okay? And then if you want to check the reachability of a particular FQDN, you have to run a ping command. And then there are other commands also which will help you to check whether a website is accessible over port 80 or port 443. It is nothing but telnet. You can also telnet on a particular domain or on a particular port to see if my web page is listening on that particular port or not. Okay. So moving ahead. Okay, so we all know, we are aware what CSS is. So what CSS does is basically CSS adds a styling element to my web page. It will add a style. What HTML does is HTML is nothing but a structure. It will give a structure to my web page. Okay, and then what will CSS do? It will add a layer of style, or it will give an element of styling to my web page. Okay, so you can consider an human body example. So the basic structure which is the skeleton, it is nothing but HTML. If we add a bit of decoration, if we add clothing and all those things, it will become a CSS, like just giving you an example. Okay, so moving ahead, how should I declare a CSS syntax? So we have two sections here. We have a selector section and then we have a declaration section. In the selector section, we just mention the header name, and in the declaration section, we have two things followed by the property and then a value. So how do we distinguish a property and a value? It is with colons, okay? And then how we can have multiple declaration in my CSS selector. And then how do I distinguish it? I have to distinguish it with a semicolon, which is this, and then followed by, I can just mention n number of declarations in my CSS syntax. Okay, this is an example which by mistake we had on slide 1 as well. So how do I write a normal HTML program? Okay. Guys, we are aware of this, right? Table tags. What is table tags? Can anyone explain me this? Because you guys are MCA students, so I believe that you would be having this knowledge. Tushar or Divyansh, anyone?
We use tables for designing tables like rows and columns.
Correct. So we have this TR tag for table row, TH for table header, TD for table data. Okay. So whenever I'm creating a table in HTML, I have to use this table tag. Okay, table opening and then table closing tab. If I have to create a row, I have to use table row followed by the starting element and then the closing, like starting opening TR tag and a closing TR tag. If I have to create a table header, I'll be using TH tag. If I have to create a table data, if I have to feed some elements into my table, I'll be using TD. Okay. And then class, we are aware, right, that we have HTML forms. Okay, so in a web page, if you're seeing any kind of form, I'll just show you one because I used one form here. So for example, you can see your contact us page, right? So this is nothing but it's an HTML page, right, class? What it is nothing but a text field. Okay, it is nothing but a text field. What it is doing is what is this field attached resume? It is an upload file. Okay, what submit application is doing is, like on the click of submit button, like all this details will be triggered in my email. So my backend is nothing but an email. Okay, so this is nothing but a normal HTML form example. So you'll create a name of type label. You'll create this element of type text field. This is also a text field. This is also a text field. Okay. And then let me just enter a normal. See, this is nothing but a validation. You're aware, class, what validation is? What a validation? I believe yes. You guys have made projects in your second or third semesters, right?
Validation is, ma'am, like we set some rules for like password, like.
Yes,
There
correct.
should be 8 characters.
Correct. So here also in my email address, I have this validation being set. For example, if I'm not like normal email address should have @ symbol, we should have .com symbol or dot should be there. So that's how this validation is being set. So here also, if I'll write phone number of only this digits, I should get this validated. Okay. And then so this is nothing but validation. So I believe you guys would be having you guys would have to create some project also, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
So what are those projects more about? Like what any topics which you have decided yet? Like, what is the technology which you are using?
Previously, ma'am, in second sem we have used machine learning.
And then this is your last semester, right?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am, this is third semester.
Okay, so for this semester, what is the technology which you guys have been asked for? Basically, it would be based on the internship, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
So you would be using HTML and CSS and PHP.
Yes, ma'am.
No, ma'am, not PHP,
And
Python.
Then what you would be using?
Python. I said Python.
XAMPP, right? XAMPP server.
Ma'am, Python.
Acha, Python is your project for this sem.
We are using Python as a technology as a backend application.
Oh, okay. Because when I was doing MC, I remember that they told me that I have to, like, whatever technology internship I'm doing into, I have to make my project into that technology. So my project was basically on alumni management system, and then it was based off my language was basically this HTML, CSS, and PHP. I have that project with me. If anybody wants that project, I can share that with you. Okay.
Ma'am, in which language have you created that?
It was PHP. It was HTML, CSS, PHP.
We are not familiar with PHP. Ma'am.
Achha, you're not allowed to use PHP as a language?
No.
We are not familiar with PHP.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, class. I guess there would be a file also which you have to maintain.
Yes.
Correct?
Ma'am.
Yeah, that is
Yes.
very hectic actually. I did my MCA from Pune University. From Pune. Okay.
Oh,
Yes.
ma'am, you are recently passed out or you have a long time ago?
No, I passed out 5 years back. I have 5 years of experience, right? So it was long back I did my MCA. So what I'll do is, yeah, let's just get back to this HTML and CSS topic. So we have HTML forms which we create. Okay, so like whenever we are creating a form, we need to make sure that we're using an opening form tag and then a closing form tag. Okay, and then in between we'll be having form elements, which I'll tell you now. Okay, in form elements we have input type. Okay, so just now I showed you, right, a basic example of how a form would look like. So we have input type as text. Okay, so in this it will accept a single line text. Then we have radio button. So mostly what radio button done is, like, radio button is basically for choices like male, female, or true or false. So if you have two choices, we'll be selecting radio button. And then we have checkbox. Okay, so checkbox is for multiple options. Then we have submit button. Then we have button. Button is basically a clickable button, like, which will accept a response. Okay, so how you will declare a text field? You have to create a form. Okay, opening form and then closing form, and then you have to, like, labels are basically class for display purpose. Okay, so how, like, I'll just show you here. So in this particular page, this thing you're able to see, right? Name. This is nothing but a label. Okay, apply now is nothing but a label. Okay, label is basically for display purposes. It will not have any type of actions associated with it, or it will not have any type of inputs associated with it. Okay, so I have input type as text, and then herein I'm writing, like, this is an important value. Okay, so here I'll be writing input type as radio, checkbox, or all those things. Okay, so label here, last name, this is for display purpose, this is for display purpose, this is nothing but this is my input type. Like, in my first name I want an input type of type text. Okay, let's just go ahead. So for example, as I told you, input type is radio. Okay, this is nothing but name my favorite language. This is nothing but for display purpose. Okay, my favorite language. This is for display purpose. And then also the next thing, which is input type is radio. I'll be having an ID associated with it. ID and all these things plus basically it will come and we have PHP associated with my form. Okay. The next thing is basically checkbox. So if you have multiple options to be selected from a set of options, we'll be using checkboxes. Okay. So for example, this vehicle 1, vehicle 2, vehicle 3, these are my labels, okay? And then this is input type, which is checkbox, and then IDs and all those things. It is the actual value which I'm feeding into my checkbox, okay? And then we have submit button. So for example, if I have entered all this thing, for example, I have entered first name, last name, and then etc. And then I want a clickable button which is submit. So I'll be clicking on this submit button. In input type is nothing but submit for submit, okay? And then file upload. Okay, so I told you here as an example, right? This web page is developed by me, so we have this attached resume page. Okay, so this is nothing but a file upload element of forms. Okay, so for form, what we have to do is you have to have an file type, input type of file, and then you have to click on submit button. So if you're having an input type as file, what it will do is it will just let you insert a file into your HTML page. Okay, so I guess this is it for HTML and CSS. Any doubts, class? Anybody is having on any of the topics covered? I have some programs also, because what I would do in all the classes is like I would just run the programs manually. I'll type and then I'll run, but I have all those programs ready made with me. So I'll just show you some programs. So for example, let me just show you file upload program. Because you guys are MCA, this does not make sense of running all these basic programs. Okay, so this was my first program, right? So we have header tags, right? You guys are aware of header tags, right?
Yes, ma'am.
We have H1, H2, H3, H1 being the highest, H3 being the lowest, and then we have this bold tag, we have B for bold, we have I for italic, we have mark for mark tag, we have DEL for delete tag. Okay, I'll just run this program and then show you the output. This is basically we follow for the beginners who don't have any knowledge and they are MBA or management students basically. So this was my header tag class, right? Bold, italic, mark, delete. Okay. So we have this program, and then let me just show you some other program which is okay. So this is a very image code. Like how do you embed an image into the HTML into your web page? Okay. So you have this IMG SRC tag. Okay, so IMG SRC tags, what it does, it will embed an image. What is this SRC tag class? What is this SRC? Can anyone tell me?
This is for source.
Yes. So this is the source, like what is the source is. So my source name is this, width and height of my image I am defining. Okay, so let me just run this program. So whenever I'm running this program, I have my image being sourced into my web page. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll run the next code. So we have file upload. As I told you, the input type for input type is file. So what I'm doing is I'm having input type as file, and then ID and all those things I have used. We run this program. So what it will do is it will allow me to add a file. Okay, so this is what it is doing. I'll click here, I'll add a file, I'll click on submit, and then it will record in my detail. Okay, let's just go ahead. So this table program, this table tags which I told you. So we have TH for table headers, TD for table data, we have TR for table row. I'll just show you the code as well, which I showed you in slide. See, so we have TR for table row. So for example, I'm creating a table row with name, roll number, and class, and then TD, I'm fitting my values into this. Okay, and then I'm closing my program. So all this is very simple. You guys are MCA, so I'm just showing you the programs and not explaining in much detail. I'll just show you an HTML form as well. Okay, so this is a text field. This is a text field. This is a submit button. This is my label which I showed you in. Okay, input type is text. Input type is submit. So all these programs I had. I guess that's it. Okay, so we have alert buttons. I'm not sure. Okay, so this part I'll cover in JavaScript session mostly. So let's just ignore this for today. Any doubts, class? Anybody is having on any of the topics being covered, or if you have any such suggestions, or if you would like to share something with me?
No, man. Thank you.
Okay, guys. Then thank you so much, guys. Have a nice evening. Bye bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And
Bye.
can you please share this PPT?
Okay, I'll just